All right. Well, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Right now, we're going to be talking about Seamless and how it will help you reduce your stress. So, a little presentation. Let's set the expectations from the very beginning. So we're going to go through what to expect. Who am I? Is there a catch in this? I want to answer all of your concerns right as we go at the very beginning, so you don't have to worry about it later. The problem with stress. We're going to dive in because stress is a problem, and some would argue that stress is the problem. Looking for solutions. We'll talk about what other people are doing in order to address stress and what Seamless actually has to do with it. We'll get into Seamless, why it works, and how you can make it work for you. Then at the end, because I promised a gift for attending, you're going to get a gift and have questions for Q&A, or have time to answer questions in Q&A. That's the agenda. So what to expect? There's no selling. There's no selling on this webinar. There's plenty of selling that we can do. There are lots of products that we can offer, but this seminar is not about that. This webinar is all about stress, what is Seamless, how it can actually help you get rid of stress. And that's what we're focusing on. No sales pitch at the end, nothing to buy, nothing up my sleeve. I purposely wear a shirt that doesn't have any sleeves, so we're not worried about that. What you learn here is my solution to stress. And that solution is Seamless. So how it came about, what is it? I'm going to give you the whole system so you understand what it is. I'm going to give you specific examples of what you can do to lower your stress. And when you're done at the end of this workshop, you can apply it without any of my help if you choose to. Who am I? Well, I'm a recalibration expert. What that means, it's a term that I coined and invented. At least I think so. I'm using it anyway. I am recalibrating you from a state of being stressed out, not exactly sure, what you're doing in terms of getting out of that stress and into a state of calm, peace, tranquility, building your resilience to stress and giving you many coping mechanisms in order to deal with it. So stress is one of the areas that I work with. Other areas are getting in shape. It's understanding why you're here. What is your purpose in life? How to take your purpose in life and align it with your job. Many of these areas I help with. So I am a recalibration expert. I am a creator of Seamless Method. Seamless was a program that I invented for myself. I had no intention of giving it to people until I saw that it's working. And everybody that I talk to seems to like it. So might as well share it because it works for me. I want to make sure that it works for you. And that's how Seamless came about. We'll go into it a little bit later. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm an author, entrepreneur, and husband and father. I'm a regular guy. My job is to help you, and that's the only difference. So is there a catch, right? Why am I doing this? Because you need it. And that's the bottom line. I'm not doing this for the money. As you'll learn a little bit later, I left my very lucrative IT business in order to do something that helps people. So I'm doing this because people need help, and I have a way to assist in that. What do I get out of this? Helping you make your life better. It sounds corny, but that's the bottom line. That's the number one reason why I'm doing this, is because I want people to feel better. Over and over, I get clients and I have people who have taken my programs that come and say, life sucks, and we don't know what to do about it. Or we know what to do about it, but we can't figure out a way to do it. So I have a solution. I have keys. I have toolboxes. I have things that can assist, and that's what I'm trying to do. So is it all pure altruism on my part? Of course not. It's almost that's the case, but there's other stuff. I am a business. I'm an entrepreneur. I have products to share with people if they choose to seek my help. There are courses. There is one-on-one coaching. There's a Facebook group. There's all sorts of things, but this has nothing to do with this webinar. This webinar is no sales. This webinar is just about stress reduction. So I'll show you the whole system, as I promised. Whole system, all 8 elements, and then give you specific ways that you can apply it in your life. So you don't need to go with me. I want to make sure that you take care of your stress right now. Last part, because I promised a gift. If at any point you decide that you want to take any of my programs, you're going to get a 10% off coupon at the end of this webinar. Use it, up to you completely. So, stress, not the only one. So stress is not a problem on its own. Continuous stress is a problem. Being addicted to stress is a problem. And as we'll learn a little bit later, being addicted to stress actually has some value, has legitimate reasons of why people become addicted to stress. because of a certain hormone called dopamine that gets secreted as a part of the stress process. So stress on its own is not an issue because stress is natural. It happens to your body. If you're in a situation where you need to run away from danger, your body kicks into a sympathetic system and it makes you run faster and it gets blood going and it focuses on survival. That is a normal part of us. So stress is not a problem. The problem is us being in stress constantly. So continuous stress is an issue because we get into that fight or flight response. Again, more probably male-oriented than female-oriented because with females, it's more of a tend, befriend instead of a fight or flight. But many of the same things happen to the human body. Pupils dilate, quick breathing occurs, right? It's not deep, relaxing breaths. It's, I need to run away. Blood pressure gets risen. Heart rate is faster. Everything is running, muscles are tensing. Everything is there in order for you to run away from danger. A usual example that people are talking about with stress response is because there is a tiger that's chasing you and you need to run away from the tiger. You have no other choices. This is not about healing. This is not about digestion at the moment. It's about you not being digestible in a few minutes. So you need to run away from danger. You need to get out. And then your body hopefully snaps back into a parasympathetic system, which allows it to recover, allows it to rebuild, heal, relax. So when you are in prolonged stress over and over and over again, it leads to hypertension, strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, ulcers, neck or lower back pain, lots and lots of bad things. And the scary statistics, according to World Health Organization, stress-related conditions account for 60 to 90% of all the doctor's visits in the United States. That's a very scary statistic. I put that title there a little tongue-in-cheek, but it is scary. When I first read that blew my mind. I had no idea that it was that bad, and it is. More than 70% of US adults regularly experience physical and psychological symptoms of stress. Over half of the people admit that stress is the reason why they fight with the people closest to them. When we're looking at a divorce rate that's over 50%, maybe this has something to do with it too. So by lowering the stress, does that mean that will make people happier and their relationships are going to be better? Yes. Finally, almost half of the adults in the US say that their stress has actually increased over the past 5 years. So I don't like that trend. I want to do something about it. And seamless is my answer. Top causes of stress. Again, we've seen these before, but here are the few that we hear about all the time. Money. It's actually funny because money is not just the lack of money that causes stress, but also the excess of money. Those who have lots of money are worried about losing money or how to protect it. Those that don't have it want to get it. So money is a constant stressor. Work. Who hasn't been stressed at work? I think the whole idea of work-life balance underlines that subject. If we were not stressed at work, why would we worry about everything else? Because we are so overworried, we are so overstressed. We spend a lot more time at work than many other countries do. We are stressed. Family, whether it's your spouse, your children, your parents, your siblings, stress is a part of it, and it's a big concern. Health, obviously, when people are unhealthy, when there is a specific issue that they're dealing with that adds a lot of stress to their life. Others, such as stuff that may happen, like a tragedy or death, pregnancy, chronically ill child, danger, childhood trauma. There are lots and lots of reasons. These are all the things we hear about, and we are thinking, what? If that occurs, it's understandable that a person is going to be stressed, and they're going to get some help, and they're going to get over it. It's a part of life. But what about everything else? Right? Many people don't even realize that they're stressed. So I'm not sure if you realize whether you're stressed or not. So we're going to play a little game to find out. In a yes or no answers, just take out a piece of paper or by just looking at the questions, answer to yourself, yes or no. Have you experienced on a regular basis fatigue? Yes or no? Next one is irritability or anger. Feeling nervous. Lack of energy. Headaches. Feeling as though you could cry. Upset stomach. muscle tension, or change in sex drive? And you don't need to give me the answers, but if you answered yes to most of these, then you may be experiencing a lot of stress. That's not to say that stress is the only reason why you may be having these. There are other underlying issues, but stress is a major component of them. So most people don't realize that they're stressed, and they think it's normal. Of course it's stressful. This is how life is. No, it's not. Just because stress is present does not mean that you should be reacting that way to it. So solutions. Usually solutions fall into the following three categories. Drugs. I'm talking about prescription drugs at this point. Preventative measures, or a lifestyle change. Unfortunately, most people don't want to take drugs. Don't think that they have time to do meditation 40 minutes a day, and certainly not ready to enact major lifestyle changes unless something really bad happens to them or to those around them that warrants them taking that huge step. So people usually don't make any changes. And that was where I was. Me in mid-2012, about 3 years ago, I was 37 years old. I was at the top of my game as an IT entrepreneur. I was very successful. Again, not Bill Gates successful, nowhere near any of that. But I was successful. I started a company. I built it from nothing into a multi-million-dollar a year company in terms of revenue, not profit. Let's be fair there. So I did very, very well. And at the height of my successes financially, I was unhealthy. My body was not in a good shape. I was unfulfilled, very sad how unfulfilled I was. I kept on hearing in the back of my mind, you remember the Ray Kinsella? I kept hearing, if you build it, he will come. I kept hearing in the back of my mind, live your essence. And I knew that I wasn't. I didn't want to introduce myself to other people because I'd have to tell them I'm an IT consultant. And everything inside me would scream out, no, that's not who you are. That's what you do. You are an author, you're a speaker, you're an actor, you're all of these things, and you're not doing any of them. So I was very unfulfilled, stressed out to the gills, because of the business, because of small children at the time. Everything was just run. As I coined the phrase for myself, I was the horse and the rider. No time for myself at all, and ready to quit, which, by the way, is what I did. I walked into, in August of 2012, I walked into my VP's office for a company that I was consulting at, and I said, we have a 3 months agreement. I'm not renewing it after that. So here's your 3 months notice that I'm done. And I haven't worked full-time in IT since that time. I was done. So what I needed to do was I needed to find a solution of how not to be stressed, aside from the fact that I needed to figure out a way to do something much better for myself so I can live my essence, but that's a whole separate discussion. So what I needed to do was I needed to find something that was flexible. My schedule simply would not allow anything that was rigid. Rigidity doesn't work for me personally, and it doesn't work for many of my clients. They need to have something that works within their schedule, within their life. And oh, by the way, your schedule changes all the time. What's here today is not the same as tomorrow. You may be at a different location. You may be in a meeting. You still need to do things. So whatever was going to come out of my solution process had to be flexible. Routine I like, right? Routine is a good thing. Telling me when to do something or how to do something or how many times to do something, no, that doesn't work for me. Tell me the routine, tell me the basis of it, and then I'll figure out how to apply it to my life. Needed to be simple. I was already busy. I didn't have enough time to learn something else. So it needed to be simple. I needed to be applicable so I can apply it immediately, right? So flexible, simple, be able to apply immediately. And I need to see results right away. Yesterday, as most people would have it, because we have to. And because I was at a point where I really needed to change something. And that's when I went on vacation. So I went on vacation, something that we do now regularly a couple times a year, as most people do. This time we went to Mexico, into an all-inclusive resort. We took our kids, my wife and I went there. And I noticed something. And I noticed something that kind of took me aback, and it may seem like a duh moment for you. But for me, it was a realization because I felt great on vacation. So the question was, why am I feeling great aside from the obvious? I'm on vacation. Well, Is it because I was stressed less? No. I had my two small kids with me. They were not listening to us. They were running where we told them not to run. They were getting into all sorts of trouble. We had to fly back and forth to Mexico with them. So it was not because of lack of stress. Was it because I was eating better? That certainly was a no, and a very quick one at that, because it was an all-inclusive buffet where I was eating 3 times or 4 times a day. I was eating a lot more, and I was not eating very healthy. So it wasn't the lack of stress. It was certainly was not the diet. So what was it that was making me feel so good? And when I started analyzing it, it was a number of aspects, such as sleep. I was sleeping a lot more. Because I'm on vacation, I don't have anywhere to run to, so I slept a lot more. And when I was on the beach, in those few quiet moments when my kids were asleep during the day, I slept sometimes too. So sleep, I made a mental check that probably is one of the reasons. I also understood that I was outside all the time. So being in sunshine, being in fresh air had a lot to do with it, because I'm used to being in the office all the time. I don't go outside unless it's to walk from the office to the car and then go back home. So me being outside in so much fresh air and sunshine had to have something to do with it. The third thing was activity levels. I was active, I was running, I was swimming, I was dancing, I was biking, I was doing all of these things that I wasn't doing at home. At home, I come to the office, I work, and that's what I do, and sometimes I go work out. So it was a very different feel, and I thought, could it be so easy? Could it be as easy as just getting more sleep, eating better, and being outside and getting plenty of exercise? Could it be so simple? So my goal was to find something that would make me feel good when I get back from vacation, so I don't have to wait another half a year before I feel good again. And when I got back, I started analyzing, okay, well, obviously I need to eat better. I know that for sure. But can I get more sleep? Well, you'd have to make sleep a priority, but I can do that, right? I can get a little more sleep. I can, put it in my to-do list. Can I be more active? Can I go outside, maybe during lunch, or go somewhere with the kids afterwards? Probably. All of these things were doable. They weren't really changing my schedule. It wasn't asking for any certain investment that I had to, put out money to do this. It was just working it into my regular schedule. And, obviously, I had to reduce my stress. What else? And I kept on looking. Well, meditation was good, right? I heard about meditation. I always heard it was the thing to do. So I investigated meditation, and I kept on putting these pieces together until I came up with a number of options and a number of elements. And then I started doing research on these elements. And that research became Seamless. So Seamless is actually 8 or 10, technically, of these elements that is put together in a holistic system. These are things that we're supposed to do on a daily basis in order to reduce our stress, in order to be healthy, happy, relaxed, and actually function at our closer to optimal level. Now, as we're going through them, sleep, eating and drinking water, being active, meditating, loving, expanding and growing, reducing stress, getting sunshine and fresh air, I guarantee you there's not one of them that you haven't heard of before. We all know we're supposed to do these things. So the big question is, why don't we? Why don't we do them on a daily basis if we are educated, intelligent adults, and yet we still don't do the very basic things that we're supposed to be doing that we know are good for us? Why don't we? And I struggled with that because I had to ask myself that question. If I'm so smart, why am I not doing it? I know I'm supposed to do it, but I'm not doing it. So I looked at it and I talked to other people, and the more I started working at it, I found that it's usually one of these reasons. It could be a lack of motivation. People really just don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay, well, I didn't get enough sleep. I'm not motivated enough because other things are more important to me. It may be lack of understanding. They don't know what they don't know. It could be lack of tools or structure. They may know that they need to do all these things, but they have no time, or they don't know how to manage within their schedule and actually do those. I'm saying 8 things. Are you kidding? I barely know where to breathe. I can't do 8 more things. By the way, I'll tell you how to in a few minutes. Okay? So it could be that, or it could be something deeper. And what I found is that we're mostly forgetting something. Because all of us are trying to build these beautiful castles of a life. But we're forgetting something. And that something is the foundation on which they're built. And if we don't take care of that foundation, everything is going to crumble. Because life and these beautiful castles are not about these huge leaps. It's about small incremental steps that get you to where you need to go. So the question then continued being of how can we do this? And does this really work? Because it seems too simple. So why seamless? Seamless because it's a holistic approach. It's a holistic system. I call it seamless method because it's a method to my madness. It's a holistic system where every individual element is a solution factor for all of the other ones. When you're looking at the top 10 health-related killers in the United States, you're seeing the same answers over and over again of how to lower your chance of getting it. And those answers are meditation, nutritional changes, rest, stress reduction, activity, right? All of these things keep on repeating. I didn't realize it until I put together the system and I started researching more and more on it. And I saw that in order to lose weight, you can't just focus on one part of it. You can't just eat better. You have to start exercising. You have to reduce your stress. You have to release emotional attachments and deal with those issues. And that's why it's going to work. So every one of these elements that we talked about right here are a solution factor for all of the other ones. So that's one reason. Another reason is because I needed flexibility, and this is a structured but flexible approach that allows you to use it daily. And it's designed to treat the all of you, the whole of you, your mind, your body, and your spirit, not just focusing on one particular part. So how do you reduce your stress utilizing that seamless method? What can you do after this presentation? Well, get enough sleep. Adequate sleep fuels your mind as well as your body. We've heard that. But what it's actually doing is it's rebuilding your muscles when you're sleeping. It's rewiring your brain. It's taking all of the memories and associations and putting them in the right place. It's relaxing you. And if you don't get enough sleep and enough quality, not just quantity of sleep, then you're missing on so much valuable information, so much valuable input that your body needs to itself in order to heal. When you feel tired, you're increasing your stress because that usually makes you be more irrational. And when you're irrational, you may say something that you're regretting and you're adding more stress to it. Sleep is one of the most important things that we should be doing. And that's why it's my number one in seamless. Eating better. Well-nourished bodies are better prepared to cope with stress. As you recall, I mentioned earlier, it's about two things. When we're speaking of stress and dealing with stress reduction, we need to build up our resiliency. And that means taking care of our bodies. And we need to deal with a coping mechanism. That means taking care of our mind. And then energy brings it together. So well-nourished bodies are better prepared to cope. Where do we get our energy from when we're talking about nutrition? A lot of it comes from sugars and fats. The caffeine that we drink to stay awake that provides the rush and then also provides the drop-off. And then that begins the cycle anew. So we reduce the amount of coffee, soft drinks, chocolate, sugar snacks in your diet, and you're going to feel a lot more relaxed. It works. There's science behind all of this. Being active. Physical activity plays a key role in reducing and preventing the effect of stress. Plus it adds endorphins, and endorphins make you feel happy. So not only is it removing all the stress hormones from your body, such as cortisol and adrenaline, or epinephrine in the futures, it adds a happy element to it. So it gets stuff out and it builds it in. Even a 20-minute walk, run, swim, dance session in the midst of a stressful time can give you an immediate effect that's going to last a number of hours. So simple things, but so important. Meditation. Meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it, is ability for your body and your mind to relax. Meditation is about being present. It has nothing to do with being in the past, worrying about the past. Think of where the stress is coming from. We're either worried about the past or we're anxious about the future. When you're meditating, you're here and now. And when you're here and now, you cannot be stressed. You may be in a situation that's stressful, but you're not stressed during it. When practicing a form of mindfulness, people can release emotions that may have been causing them emotional and physical pain. When we're talking about mindfulness, it's all about being present. If I am talking to you, I'm only talking to you. I'm not thinking and I'm not focusing on anything else. I am present in this present moment, and that's why it's called the present. When I'm outside, I'm looking at the leaves. I'm listening to the birds. I am present in that moment. That's being mindful. Much like exercise, research has shown that even meditating briefly can reap immediate benefits. Absolutely. But it has to be consistent. You can't do it once and then forget about it for the next couple of months. You have to be consistent. Next, love. We have 3 types of love that we deal with when we're talking seamless methods. So one is loving yourself, which for some people that presses a button and it sounds egotistic, but it's not. Loving yourself removes negative feelings, releases blocks, and allows for healing. Oftentimes, because we don't love ourselves, we are our worst critic. And what we're doing is we're not building ourselves up, but we are constantly dealing with that emotional trauma and that stress of not being good enough, or not being pretty enough, or not being smart enough, not being young enough, not being old enough. It's everything, right? Self-love is a huge, huge element. When you are not loving yourself, then you cannot really love somebody else until you learn how to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, then your relationship with others, especially your loved ones, your partners, your spouses, are a dependent relationship. You are depending on them to give you the love that you need instead of giving it yourself to you. Yes, I think that's right. Or at least that's the way I meant to say it, right? You don't want to be dependent on receiving that love because you'll never get it in the proper format or in the amount that you're expecting to get it. So if you change that, then you will really learn how to love others because you won't be expecting things from them. You will appreciate them for who they are. The third type of love, before we get to expand, by the way, is loving your day, which has 2 components to it. So first component is loving your work, which may be hard for some people, but we deal with that. And second component is inserting something that you love into every day. I deal with people all the time who come back after a long day at work, have their family obligations, and then realize at 10:30 that they've done nothing for themselves. And yes, they've done work for their family, for everybody else, but they have not done anything for themselves. And then the whole day feels like a waste for them. So don't waste a day. Do something as little as a few minutes a day that you love doing, whatever it is. And then no day will be stressful. Expansion. More knowledge leads to more coping mechanisms. Growing leads to new neural pathways being built in your mind, in your brain specifically, that help you de-stress. And it reprioritizes your time and removes you from the stressors. We're not worried about something because we're focused on doing something that we actually enjoy. So expansion and growth is big. Getting sunshine and fresh air. Well, being in the sun boosts serotonin, which brings down stress. So serotonin makes you happy and gives you energy. Melatonin makes you want to sleep. So it ups serotonin, it brings down melatonin, so you are happier. And it actually brings down your appetite as well. So fresh air clears the mind and calms you down. Very, very important. So seamless overall recalibrates your life, removes those stressors, gives you good habits, the 8 habits that we're talking about, and a healthy routine. Provides a structure that you need until self-motivation kicks in. Most of the time we're doing things not because we're doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for somebody else or because of somebody else. So whatever works for you, and it's natural for external motivation to be a factor. But once you start doing it and you start seeing results and you start feeling differently, you're going to very quickly start doing it for yourself. Action steps. I want you to walk away with specific things you can do right now in order to reduce your stress. So we're going to cover 5. Don't be a control freak. Unplug from the stressors, and we'll go through each one of these. Music is the key, pun intended. Don't multitask, and smile. So what do I mean by those? Don't be a control freak. Well, Only focus on things that you can control and let go of others. All of these things are easier said than done, but you really have no control over others' responses. You have no control over the light, whether it's red or green or when it's going to turn the light. You have no control over traffic. You may have control over which road to take so you're avoiding traffic, but control yourself. Control your emotions. Don't worry about the others. Only focus on things you can control, and you're going to reduce your stress by a whole lot. Know that you're strong enough to deal with whatever happens. Again, a lot of times we want to control the outcome. Based on these previous experiences, I know that this is what's going to happen in the future. No, you don't. You really don't know what's going to happen in the future. You may have an idea, you may have a momentum, you may have something that tells you that it's likely going to work out that way, but you don't know. So stop worrying about it. Stop wasting that energy. Stop being stressed because of it, and know that you're strong enough to deal with whatever outcome happens. You can control your reaction. Nobody can stress you out. I hear this all the time. I am stressed out because of that person. I'm stressed out because of that. Really? No, you're stressed out because of you. It doesn't matter what anybody else does around you. You're stressed out because of you. You are the only one that allows that reaction. I have that conversation with my kids. When my daughter was young, she came to me and said that somebody called her stupid and she was really upset. And I asked why. And she said, because I'm not stupid. I said, good. So if you know the truth, does it really matter what they think? You really have two choices, right? If somebody calls you stupid, A, you know you're not stupid. And if they say that you're stupid, does it really matter? Well, you already know what the truth is. It doesn't make any sense to argue with them. Or B, you are stupid. And then if that's the truth, why argue with them? Because they just told you the truth. So I said that to my daughter, and she lives by that now. So she's not too worried about it. And it's much easier for her to deal with bullies. And, knock on wood, as she's growing up, it's going to help her. And I'm doing the same thing with my son. But we know that when we're talking to our children, do we know that for ourselves as adults? When somebody is stressing us out, why are we allowing them to stress us out? It's not up to them, it's up to us. Unplug from the stressors. You know what riles you up. Unplug from those. You know it. I don't need to tell you what riles you up because you have your own buttons. I have mine. Unplug from those. What I had to unplug from was television. Not everything, but I had to unplug from a lot of it. My favorite shows. Scandal, House of Cards, all of the spy shows, I had to unplug because I was experiencing PTSD because of them. They were putting me in constant stress. And as much as I loved the idea of watching those shows, they were really messing with me psychologically and physically. I unplugged, and I've been happy and much more relaxed. And now I don't have to look around the corner thinking that somebody's going to try to kill me because that's what I'm used to for everybody else that's happening on the show. That's not what life is. Stop being around people that are negative and clingy. You know those people. Try not to be around them. It may not be easy, but you can do your best. These are not the people you want to be around. Keep your boundaries, right? We talked about loving yourself. Love yourself enough to say no. You don't want to be around those people who are just draining your energy, who are stressing, who are putting you in a situation where you have to stress because of what you have to do, and you're stressing because it's not polite to say no, it's not polite to walk away, and you're stressing about that response. So it's not them putting you in that position. It's about you not knowing what to do with it and being stressed. Don't do that. Say no and walk away. Music is the key. Love music. I listen to music a lot when I'm in the car, on the commute. So music calms you down and distresses you. The right kind of music, of course. What is the right kind of music that's best for de-stressing? 432 hertz is better because it's more consistent with the universe, for instance. If you want to go to the beats per minute, it's 30 to 60 beats per minute. That allows you to relax. It's slow. It's certainly slow, but it's relaxing. I turn on the spa channel on my XM satellite radio. When I'm stressed, it gets me right back up. Don't multitask. For whatever reason, we think that multitasking is good. I still don't understand why. And actually, there is research that proves that multitasking is not good. It's the opposite of good, actually, because multitaskers have less brain density. in a certain part of their brain responsible for empathy or cognitive and emotional control. They also have lower IQ because they can't focus on everything. It's like a laser. You're either focused on one thing or you're everywhere. And when you're everywhere, it's not effective. Our attention span cannot be doing multiple things at the same time 100%. So when you're multitasking, you're exerting a huge amount of energy trying to keep yourself together. And that's stress. Stop doing that. People who are regularly bombarded with multiple streams of electronic information cannot recall anything. They cannot switch from one job to another as easily as somebody who's doing one thing at one time. Focus and do one thing at one time. I like movies, so here's another movie reference. In a movie called The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, I found such beautiful moments in that movie where they were showing how samurai lived and how mindful they are of anything that they're doing, whether they're drinking tea or doing calligraphy or fighting. It's about being in that moment 100%. They're not doing multiple things at the same time. They are focused. And that's where you should be, because it's also present. And finally, smile. Our brains are interconnected with our emotions and facial expressions, and we hold a lot of stress in our faces. But there's actually a chemical reaction that occurs that because we're programmed, right? So every time we smile, we have a response. Oh, smiling must be happy. So all you have to do is this. And you have to do that when you're really upset, and you have to hold that, no matter how silly it looks right now on camera. You have to hold that for about 1 minute. I won't do that. So you have to hold it for 1 minute because it sends a chemical message to your brain, I'm happy. And no matter how stressed or upset you are, you're going to feel happier after it. So do it. Okay? Putting it all together. So now the natural question is, okay, this is all great. How do I do it in my busy life? And it's actually easier than you think. So let me give you a couple of examples. I'm a poet. Everything has to rhyme. So don't mind me. Don't whine, combine. Take your lunch break and go outside for 30 minutes. During your lunch break, usually it's an hour, go outside for half an hour. During that time, you're going to get your activity. You're going to get sunshine and fresh air. You'll get a walking meditation, and you'll get a stress release. Now you just did 4 out of the 8 in a half an hour that's pre-built into your day, and you haven't done anything new other than change your priority. So don't whine, combine. One more. Holistic makes it realistic. As I mentioned, being overweight, you can't just try to lose weight by changing the way that you're eating. You have to change a lot more than that. And that's why seamless is a much easier way of doing it, because you do all of them and all of them are helping you to achieve a certain outcome, whether it's stress reduction, weight loss, rebalancing your life, building relationships, awakening spiritually, understanding yourself better. All of those outcomes can be achieved utilizing seamless. A gift. I promised a gift before we get to the Q&A. So again, not selling anything. I'm not talking about my courses, but if you happen to take any of them in the future, just type in a coupon. Type in a coupon code webinar. You're going to get 10% off all of the programs. Seamlessmethod.com. That's the website in case you want to investigate more information. Time for Q&A. So let's see. I'm going to stop recording right now, and then I'll take the Q&A from the people who are in the audience. Thank you very much for listening. Best of luck. Apply seamless. Whether you take anything from me or not, apply seamless. Be happier, be healthier, and be stress-free. Thank you.